Let's go to the US now, where, of course, Joe Biden is in the dying days of his presidency. He's got less than 2 months to go in the job, so he's tying up a few odds and ends. And this question keeps coming up about his son, Hunter, the crackhead Hunter Biden. But, he was convicted earlier in the year. Of course, back in June, he was done for buying guns while he was a drug addict. He had declared on the papers that he was not a drug addict at the time, so there were 3 felonies. Then in September, he pleaded guilty to not paying at least $1.4 million in taxes. And, many times Joe has been asked, are you going to pardon your son? Are you going to pardon your son? Look, he's considering it. There's no doubt about that. But at least we know that Joe Biden thinks that no one, not even his son, is above the law.
I'm calling for a constitutional amendment called No One is Above the Law Amendment. Each of us is equal before the law. No one is above the law. The American principle that no one is above the law was reaffirmed. The justice system should be respected, and we should never allow anyone to tear it down. Those responsible can be held accountable. In my administration, no one is above the law.
And don't fear, he has been personally asked this question multiple times. Will you pardon your own son? No way.
Your son Hunter is on trial, and I know that you cannot speak about an ongoing federal prosecution. But let me ask you, will you accept the jury's outcome, their verdict, no matter what it is?
Yes.
And have you ruled out a pardon for your son?
Yes. With regard to the question regarding the family, I'm extremely proud of my son Hunter. He has overcome an addiction. He's one of the brightest, most decent men I know, and I am satisfied that I'm not going to do anything. I said I abide by the jury decision, and I will do that, and I will not pardon him.
And of course, his press secretary, Karine Jean-Pierre, has also been asked multiple times, and she has always said there is no way this will happen.
When would the president pardon or commute his son if he's convicted?
So I've answered this question before. It was asked of me not too long ago, a couple of weeks ago, and I was very clear, and I said no.
I know you said not a lot's changed since yesterday and that it's a personal matter, but from a presidential perspective, is there any possibility that the president would end up pardoning his son?
No.
I just want to make sure that that is not going to change over the next 6 months. The president's saying he would not.
It's still a no. It's still a no.
It will always be a no.
It's still a no. It will be a no. It is a no, and I don't have anything else to add. Will he pardon his son? No.
And the Democrat fanboys have always said there is no way this could happen. I mean, take Andrew Wiseman, for example, a lawyer in the US who said Mr. Biden is living the rule of law.
What is before us is a president who is living the rule of law. He is living it in the most personal way. He is not pardoning his son, which he could do. These are federal charges. Right. He is not doing that. He is not doing it because he is living what it means to have a rule of law in this country. Yeah. I'm not saying that he should get credit for it because it is the right thing to do.
That's the norm, but Trump is beneath it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So imagine my shock when I woke up this morning and Joe Biden had pardoned his son Hunter. Yes, after all those times saying it would never ever happen, that is exactly what he did on his way out of the Oval Office. Now, you will remember all the lawfare cases that were run against Donald Trump. They are now effectively dead because he will be the 47th president of the United States. But, we were told there's nothing to see here, there's no problem. But we were saying, actually, no, what's happened here is that the law has been weaponised against a political candidate. Now, remember, Biden said no one is above the law. The Democrats continually said, look, if Trump has broken the law, he should face the consequences. Well, what does Biden now say about his son? He says that this case was infected by raw politics and it led to a miscarriage of justice. Oh. And if it weren't for the fact that Hunter Biden was Joe Biden's son, that they would never have gone after him. So, of course, he hands down the pardon. And the pardon, by the way, does not just apply to the gun offences, and it doesn't just apply to the tax offences. He's just put a blanket pardon over everything that Hunter may or may not have done between January and December 2014. Things that haven't even been brought yet, necessarily. It is an extraordinary move, which of course he lied through his teeth about. But, you know, I suppose, can you blame the bloke? He's on his way out. He has those powers, which is an extraordinary thing in the first place, and he's just decided to go and do it. He clearly doesn't give a toss anymore. Why would he care after he's been deposed by Kamala and co? He's just doing whatever he can on the way out to get his and say, up yours.
Well, he's not just on the way out of the Oval Office. He did this and then he was straight on a plane and on his way out of the United States to Angola, so no journalists could point out his hypocrisy. But I mean, this is just more evidence that everything the Democrats accuse their opponents of doing is exactly what they themselves are or are about to do. It was Trump who was meant to be the threat to the rule of law. It was Trump who was going to pardon himself, who was going to put himself above the law. That's exactly what the Democrats have done. So this should keep the Democrats out of office for years, if not decades. If anyone was in any doubt about the corruption of Joe Biden or the Dems generally, this should remove it beyond any doubt. I kind of wonder if Joe Biden thought Kamala Harris will win the election and she will pardon my son. And so he was able to say, no, I'm not going to pardon him, I'm not going to pardon him, secure in the knowledge he thought that Kamala Harris would do it for him. And then, of course, when the election result came back, he had a quick change of mind. What I loved, though, Liz, was he's talking about his son. He says, my son, he's been 5.5 years sober. I'm so proud of him. And I'm thinking, you know, I would be too if it was my 16-year-old who'd been 5 years sober. And I realised, no, he's 54 years old. He's like a grown-ass man. I mean, OK, he's been sober since he was, what, 49? Good job. But, I mean, Joe Biden's holding his hand like he's a child.